Again, Kevin Culp back at you, PM Head of Cloud Management Solutions here at Supermicro. Continue our podcast on navigating around the GUI of the control plane of the developer console. In the previous videos, we focused on creating two flavors, both to instantiate or have these flavors associated with VMs that will instantiate. But before we actually get into the instantiation of VMs, we have to think about how do we actually provide a user environment for users to come in, which is part of their profile or their construct, right? And be able to deploy VMs and create flavors. And so you want to be able to think about security aspects around this, whether you want to essentially create a local account or local accounts that are specifically related to the control plane. Remember, we have 4 shards that we have to deploy. And maybe you want to have different domain controllers for different particular shards, right? Based on your use case. But in our environment here, we have just one particular environment here, which is a domain controller LDAP server that exists. That's shared between SuperCloud Composer and also the developer console. But in your enterprise and setup, you might want to think about various different kind of Active Directory domains that you want to create to sort of air gap those user accounts from maybe not bleeding into other shards. So these are things you need to think about from a security standpoint of how you're going to frame that up. Um, I just wanted to show you here these 4 shards. We're creating 4 flavors among north, south, west, and east. Just want to show you here that our west environment here has been created with flavors. And we're going to basically simulate here or show you how to set up an LDAP configuration for your Active Directory. So we've done this already previously on North. So I'll show you that right now. We have that set up under settings here. And if you scroll down here, this is all the pertinent information you need to fill out for your connection to your Active Directory and your enterprise. Our LDAP host is 172.24.199.26. It's a 2012 R2 domain controller, and this is the port we're utilizing here. The administrator, we type in a password here, a user-based DN, which is scc-demo.org is our domain, and is again shared among multiple instances or multiple sandboxes we have for SuperCloud Developer Console in our customer demo center. And then you also have the prefix field, main field, and also email domain as well. So we're going to take this information and just simply cut and paste it into the configuration of the West shard. So we'll come over here and then go under the settings piece here, scroll down, and the first thing we'll do is we'll fill out 172.24.199.26, which is our Active Directory or domain controller. So we're going to just take each of these parameters or fields and just simply cut and paste them into our environment, our shard. So as I mentioned, in your particular enterprise, you may have various different domain controllers controlling or providing that security for different shards so that you don't have a situation here if you're supporting multiple GPU tenant cloud folks. You want to probably have separate domain controllers to control those so that you isolate your security posturing within your enterprise. All right, so we're going to go back here and we're going to plug in our password here. I'm simply going to use the administrator account and then I'm going to type in my password. Okay, and then we're going to continue down here and then fill in the rest of the information here, scrolling completely down here, putting all the information in for our environment. And user prefix field here will fill out too as well. And then the mail field, we're going to fill out here. This one, cut and paste it over. And then the last one is the email domain, which is the scc-demo.org. And when you say save here, it doesn't come back and say it's saved, right? But if you come back and just refresh here, we'll refresh, you'll see here it's now in an update info information. So it saved the contents here within your dashboard. So now we have pointing to our domain controller. So the next thing is I want to find a user specifically that I want to be able to import into my control plane. And so how would I do that? How would I do that? So you essentially come down to users and then user activation. And then at this point, you're going to you're going to go to user management here, take down the drop down here and import LDAP user. And then what you're going to do here is you simply want to make sure that the administrator at scc-demo.org is there. We're going to put in the password here because this is where we're tapping the administrator bind account on the shoulder and basically saying, provide me a list of LDAP users that are in your database. And it provides you a list of them here. So we want to put in my name here, call K, and search for it. And you see here that it's available. I'm going to check it. And then I'm going to import this selected user. If you wanted to import all the users, you could do so. Or in my case, I'm just going to show you just this particular user being Kevin Culp myself and import it into the environment. When you import it into the environment, it still needs to be enabled here, right? So we've just imported the record into our database. The next step is to enable it. And at this point, once we enable it, that user will now become available for us to be able to essentially here we'll be able to, once we enable that user will be able to log in. So we'll do that in the next stage of basically coming in and logging into this particular user. And at that point, then we'll start instantiating the VMs under this environment, under the CulpK user account. If you needed to reset the password, you can do so, or if some reason your particular user has left the organization or is not part of your tenant cloud anymore, you can simply come here and actually delete it. Okay, so we talked about here of taking your control plane, pointing it to an LDAP server that exists out here. And then we also talked about taking that record and importing it into our environment and enabling it. That completes this particular video clip. Thanks for joining today. We'll see you across the aisle.